We are off. Blast off. Kami, I am so excited that Kami Guildner is here with me today. We just have so much fun together. So if you guys are a little bit annoyed by our giddiness, it's because we are two Enneagram sevens.
Right. Here we are, sevens.
The sevens on a mission.
That's right. Sevens on a mission for sure.
That's right. So Kami, tell us first off, who are you and what do you bring to this world? Give us the high up overarching, who is Kami Guildner? Not that you could do this in less than like 5,000 words, but.
Well, I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now. I believe that women's voices matter, and I am on a mission to help women raise up their voice, their visibility, and their businesses, grow their businesses. I'm a connector, I'm a storyteller, and I am a business coach who helps women really raise their voices up and grow their businesses and just take it to the next level. So that's who I am.
Yes. And you have kick-ass events, Extraordinary Women Connect, and you have Ignite every year. And don't you have one other big event that you do each year?
Well, I've got several different events that I do throughout the year. I've got some retreats. I've got, so I've got some amazing, delicious retreats that I do. I do a speaker training that's Soul Speaks from the Stage. So I do all kinds of fun things. And, we're in interesting times right now as people who host events, looking at things and doing things a little bit differently.
Yes. And you know what else I love about you, Kami, is that you are such a seven that you have so many cool different hobbies. But the one that I think is most interesting about you is your love and your connection with horses.
Yes. It's one of my favorite things.
When did you discover that you had a deep connection to horses?
Probably when I was about 6 months old, I guess. I've had horses my whole life. I was born into a family that had horses, and I have pictures of me on a horse at a month or two old. So I've been around horses my whole life, but they truly are dear to me. And they also I host retreats with my horses. So I do retreats that are really about helping people tap into that deep work of who they are and how they're getting out and making an impact. And the horses get to be a part of that. And that's super, super fun for me.
Totally. So no matter what, you guys, make sure that you go to KamiGuildner.com, right? It's KamiGuildner.com. Right.
Yep.
And subscribe to be part of her email list so that you can get notifications on all of these amazing things that Kami does.
And even a better place is that my Extraordinary Women Connect group on Facebook, because that is where all the activity happens. I'm not a big emailer. I'm not one that's like emailing out lots and lots of information. So we have community. We play a lot in the community, and that's where I put a lot of the information.
Yes, and that's a great group. So on Facebook, you'll just search for Extraordinary Women Connect.
Yep.
And then ask to join, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about who your favorite clients are, and then who your best power partners are, the kinds of women that you'd love to be connected to.
Okay. So my clients, I love my clients. I have the most amazing clients, and they are women who a lot of them have come out of the corporate world. So they had a really strong, they were executives. They came out of the corporate world. They were, had big jobs, and they suddenly decided they really wanted to make an impact, and they wanted to do something different. Life was supposed to be different for them. So they stepped out into this world of making a difference, making an impact with all of the gifts of who they are. And they're out there to make an impact, right? I mean, they are change makers. They are rebels. They're like wanting to shake things up. And so I work with a lot of service entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants whose voices need to be heard, that need to be out there. So that's my ideal client. And ideal power partners. Oh gosh. You, Meghann, I mean, you're like a perfect power partner. And we've been power partners together for a long time. So women who are working with, who have a large community, it's like we like to share our communities together. And I think that's the beauty of us being power partners. I mean, you've been a sponsor at my events. I've been a sponsor at your events. And it's a really nice approach. I have some great power partners with, like, for example, there's a company called Culture Talk, and they are a group of coaches and consultants who are taking culture that have been trained in the culture talk archetype work. Cynthia's a great power partner for me, because her clients are a good fit for me, and a lot of my clients are a good fit for her. And we, come together and we brainstorm together. Companies that are like Interview Connections, I know is one of our Dames members. They're another great power partner where they're doing podcast or bookings. And it's a great, because a lot of my clients are needing to be booked on podcasts or speaker bookings, that sort of thing. Those are great power partners for me.
Wonderful. I just thought of 3 other people to send your way, because this is the beauty of having these conversations.
Yeah.
Because when it's so true, especially you and I have been building this power partnership for years. We've been nurturing this relationship. The 2 of us get on calls like sometimes, let's be real, it's like once every 6 months, but
and then we'll go, where did time go?
Exactly. Like, we've been having too much fun. But and in the good times when we're not running around with our chickens with our heads cut off, then we're meeting more often. And we just have such a great time talking about, oh, here are the people I need to send you, and here are the people I need to send you. And we just love doing that for each other. So it's
that trigger too, right? I think it's that trigger. Even like you dropped me an email earlier this week and saying who might be at the Dames event this week. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to invite a couple more people. And I totally was just right there. And it was like, okay, here you go. So it's just that little trigger. And it's such a beautiful thing to stop and pause with each other.
But here's the key to that, right? Is that you and I have built the relationship first.
Yeah.
So we have a strong foundation where we spent a good amount of time, like, yes, we met in person, but then we spent time on Zoom getting to know each other, deeply getting into like telling our stories and where we came from. And now you have a table made by my dad in your house. Like,
exactly. Which I love. So in love with that table.
I wish it was easy for you to like pick up your computer and take us on a tour at the end or something.
Yeah.
We'll at another Facebook Live.
Exactly.
So obviously this is important for both of us. What do you do to keep business fun?
I was thinking about that question, and I have fun just being with my clients, right? I think that's when I see what my clients are going out and they're doing right now. And this is a really interesting time for them to be stepping up and getting their voices out and into the world that's in a way that's one, true and authentic to them, but also considerate of what's going on in the world, right? So in a way that's really about serving. And to me, when I think about how my clients are showing up right now, that lights me up. That it's just, so that to me, it's like anytime I'm getting to play with my clients, that keeps my business fun. We do a lot of, in normal times, we do a lot of in face-to-face things. We're not doing the face-to-face. We're doing the Zoom pieces right now. And we're starting to think about some VIP strategy days where some of us can come together in smaller groups this summer, which I'm super excited about, because I'm personally longing for that that connection, that face-to-face connection.
I'm just longing for more hugs, for God's sake.
I know, and I'm not even sure that we're going to be able to do that at that point, right? We're going to have to be more careful than that, which is really sucks. But yeah, I hear you.
It's awkward. Let's just say that it's awkward.
Exactly.
We're living in awkward times. So we just have to make the best of being awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Kami, I know you've had a really interesting journey. What year was it that you started your business?
I started my business in 2009.
Right. Okay. So it was the same year as me. And what would you say are 3 highlights along that journey or milestones as you've been on this lovely journey of entrepreneurship, business ownership?
Yeah. It's been, over the course of 10 years, you certainly have this whole journey that you go on and you learn and you grow. And when I think about like the biggest milestones, a couple of things. One of the things that comes to the top of the mind is just how my body of work has formulated. And I actually feel like it really came last year to this pivotal place where it was like, I've been putting all these pieces together, and me, I like to go get soulful, right? I like to listen to what was it my business wants to be. And so that was I did a rebranding of my business probably, I don't know, 5 years ago. But the body of work really got to this pivotal, like this, like, it was like, oh my God, all the pieces kind of came together, and I was like, oh my God, finally. It's like, yes, I've had this piece and this piece and this piece, but then how did they all fit together, and what was the missing part of it? And I got the missing part of it last fall. It was really super cool. I had like all these building blocks that I'd been teaching and working with my mastermind in. But there was this moment where I got back from Italy we got back, I think, on the 5th of October. And I got sick. Like my husband and I got really, really sick, and we were sick for the whole month of October. And what it did for me, though, was it stopped me, right? So there's this whole theme of stopping and being home, right? Now, here we are. I was home for that whole month, but I got a really important thread that came through to me, and it totally divinely found its way to me through the podcast I was listening to, through the meditations I was doing, through all these different things. And it was just a few weeks before my big Ignite event was. And so this whole new idea came to me. And so that was a really core piece of, it was like the final magic thread that kind of tied it all together for me. And that to me was super cool.
How many other people, aside from you and me, do you find get the steps for what to do in business through their divinely guided intuition? Do you hear about this very often? Because I feel like I'm kind of alone on an island a lot of times when I talk about this with different people. They find it to be a very interesting way of doing things.
I think it's new for a lot of people, but I think a lot of people are really starting to tap into it. And I think, you said, this is something you talked about, you started your business in 2009, same year that I did. And is there any accident that we started our businesses at that same time? And how many people do we know that started their business in that a couple year time frame from that have been building up to this point, right? I mean, we're really in a pivotal place in our world. Yep. And you're doing the work you're meant to do. I'm doing the work that I'm meant to do. And I know several other people that are there as well. And I think the reason my clients are drawn to me, when I look at my wonderful community of people in my mastermind group, and they were drawn to me because of that. And they're doing the same sort of thing, right? So I think it's growing. I think it's evolving. And I think it's this way of us stepping into our feminine power and owning who we are and doing business in a different way. And that's what we're getting into, right? We're in this shift, and it's exciting to be in this shift. And that's what we get to be a part of. So I think that, the fact that we have found the teachers that have taught us, I mean, I know some of the teachers that have taught you, some of the teachers that have taught me, they were supposed to be there for me. They were supposed to be there for you. And now it's our turn to keep sharing that same wisdom.
For sure. So along those same lines, what are 3 lessons that you've learned in growing your company that you would love other teams and other business owners to really know, so that they could go and consider implementing those lessons themselves?
Yeah. I'd say build your business and your brand from the inside out. So learn to listen, go do that inner work. Make space to play in ritual. I mean, when I rebranded my company, I had like a whole, what do you call it? I had like an altar set up, and, I was playing with the eclipse, and I was, it was an amazing time. But guess what happened? It's like, I get this great information, just like happened to me last October. So learn to build your business and your brand from the inside out, listening to that inner wisdom. 2, I would say throw out so this is totally you see this all over the place in our world, right? Of marketing that is really tainted based on the pain, based on the scarcity and the fear, playing into all of that. Throw that kind of marketing out and really level up your marketing into a way that you're putting your voice out in the world and speaking to your clients' desires and not speaking to your client's pains. You have to understand your client's pains and challenges, but you don't have to market to pull them down. You have to, if you can step up and raise your energy, help raise their energy with the marketing messages that you're taking out into the world, I think you can really change how, well, you can change your own vibration. You change how you resonate by doing that, but you're changing it for the people in your community. You don't want to pull your people down with putting more fear and doubt into their minds. So don't do that kind of marketing. I had another one that I wanted to share. Oh, I know what it was. Take care of how you resonate, right? Take care of that what I call the R factor. And this was some of the work that came to me last October, was the R factor and how you resonate. And that means taking care of your mindset. It means taking care of your body, your energetic body. It means taking care of your spiritual connection, whatever, however you spirit. And the fourth part of that is really building on your community. And so, you know, this part of how do you create community and who are the people that you're hanging out with, all of that really helps you and how you resonate and helps you raise up your R factor. So those are my three.
That. It's so cool to see. I think that you and I both see things in patterns or in structures eventually, because as I'm
eventually,
eventually, in those periods of typically having been poked, having little spiritual pokes, and then maybe sometimes some spiritual 2x4s that help us like finally sit down and get the information.
Yes.
But it's so cool once we actually get it, because then we look back and we see, oh, wow, look at this pattern. So what you were just saying, I was experiencing it in my body of the need to, what was the word that you used? The R word.
So the R factor.
Yes, but what's the word? Resonate. So
yes, resonate, how we resonate.
It's just this, I think altogether too often, we're not willing to take the action that's required in order to make serious change. And I know that you went through a big period of time this year where you cleansed significantly and then you changed your diet fully, right?
Oh, totally.
And that was required in order for you to even be able to go to that next level, for you to then be able to have that resonance with your higher self to get that information.
Yeah. And it's like, we keep building on it all. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like, I can think about last year, I was throwing stuff out of my closet, right? This year I've been throwing out stuff out of my kitchen. You know, it's like, it's this whole thing of kind of shedding that old and leaving it behind, and really making the choices that are the best choices for the energy that we want to be showing up in, right?
Totally. So talk a little bit about the women's wisdom as the medicine for the planet. What are you getting around that?
You know, what I'm getting around that is that this is part of this different way of showing up, right? Different way of being. And when we can be different, and when we can start to trust what's inside of us and start to show up and be in collaboration instead of be in competition, be in, you know, just a listening mode even, right? I mean, right now is a perfect example of that. It's like, you know, we could really just stopping and listening and taking it in and being compassionate. It's a perfect time for us to practice that strength of us being women. And when we do that, that's what shifts, right? And when we stop and we make the pauses for ourselves in our business and listen to that inner wisdom, that gets us showing up in bigger ways, right? Because what we can do is we can play small, and we can push and try to mold ourselves into the masculine ways of being, of thinking, and trying to create success in our lives. Or we can step back, we can take a breath, and we can start to listen to the guidance within, and we will get the universe behind us. We just show up in different ways, right? And it's so much lighter.
Totally. And it's, you know, it's by no fault of our own, because the paradigm shift that I have been talking about for the last year or so, that I believe we're really at just the beginning of, but it's a very big one, is this: we've been modeled for so many centuries the way of doing business and even doing life in a very masculine way. And it's just because men have been in leadership positions, traditionally speaking, for longer than women have. And they have masculine characteristics, which are different from women. And women have kind of not by our fault, but have kind of gotten it wrong by trying to emulate the masculine and by trying to emulate the way that men have been doing things. And that doesn't work sustainably for women. So exactly the things that you said of like laying back and receiving is what's so important.
And it doesn't work sustainably for our world. I think that that's a really important part of it is that, the shift of showing up and being different in the world has been coming. And you're right, we're just on the precipice of it. And I did an interview on my podcast with Dr. Anita Sanchez. And she wrote the book called, it's on my bookcase, what is it called? Indigenous Wisdom for Modern Times, is what it's called. It's delicious, so delicious. And I had her speak at Ignite as a keynote a few years ago. And she'd been around the world talking to all these different Indigenous elders, if you will. And what they were all predicting was we are on the cusp of the feminine rising, right? So when I talk about raise up, it's totally coming from that sense of the feminine rising. And it doesn't mean that, men, it doesn't mean men don't have the feminine. We have both, right?
Right.
We have both, they have both. But there's just a different way evolving for us to show up. And that's really super exciting for me. And so through the, as we're going through these crazy times right now, I just keep coming back to, this is that shift. This is a shift that's happening, and it's the shift our world needed. And we have brightness on the other side of it.
And the easiest thing about it is that what we need to do in order to get this shift is receive. It's to sit in stillness.
Which is hard.
Receive. It's very hard. Again, we are prompted toward action. We are prompted toward speaking, toward consistent movement forward. And it's this dance of, no, in the divine feminine, we need to be in that receiving stance. We need to be in that, okay, I will allow the information to come in when it's ready. Not when I will it to.
And that's the hard part, right? Because we're like, when is this happening? When is this coming? And sometimes the universe just totally delivers this, you're going to go sit in a corner for a little while, whether it's what we could look at what we've been doing over the last 3 months. What I had to do last October, it's like, you're going to take this time out, whether you like it or not. And that's my hope for this time, right? Is that we do come through on the other side of this with more kindness, with more openness, with more love. All of that, I think, is got to be a part of this, what happens from this. That's my hope.
And I'll add in more clarity.
Yeah.
Because in all of the other C's that you mentioned, and K's, kindness is spelled with a K, I think.
we could spell it with a C if we wanted.
We wanted to have 4 C's.
Yeah.
In all of that then comes clarity.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's beautiful. So tell me a little bit about some of the personal care and personal growth that you believe in, because that it's part of my philosophy at the Dames that we can't be great leaders. We can't be great. We can't be great at what we do without having really amazing self-care practice. So what does that look like in your world?
So I'm mostly good with my morning rituals, of getting up and making space for myself. And it's really weird. It's like, I was on a roll where I had been I think 90 days in meditation every morning. And this last week, I broke it.
Yep.
And being gentle with myself when that happens, right? Because it's you get on a roll like that and it's like, gosh, this has been great. And I know how this feels. And it makes me, it feels very expansive. And so learning to be gentle with myself when I break that. Being outdoors is huge for me. And I know that is probably the best thing in the world for me, is if I can be out in the barn with my horses, or I live in the foothills of Colorado here. And it's like, I can go out on a hike right out my back door. And that to me is some of the biggest soul filling things that I can do for myself. I journal a lot. I love journaling. And to me, it's just about making space. And sometimes it's like just going out and sitting outside in the morning. That is one of the things I have been doing recently for my meditations, is just going outside and just setting a timer and being out there with the birds and hearing, nature around me. And so nature really fills me up.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
And for you, what's the health,
Oh
like
yeah.
the eating that you've
Yeah.
been.
Yeah. That's been really big for me. I I did a plan or a program called Yoga Nurture or Yoga Nourished Yoga Project that was being run out of my yoga studio, and it's been fantastic. And it was a plant-based approach. But one of the things I liked about it, it wasn't a rigid don't ever eat these things, right? And that was part of. And I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be on a feeling like it was a restriction and that I could never, that I could never go there. But instead, right, it was like making choices on a regular basis that were mostly plant-based. And doesn't mean that we don't have meat on occasion, but we really switched the balance of it. And that felt really good. And I like to eat meat. I like ribs. I'm not a steak person. I like a hamburger. I like fish. But 80% of the time I'm eating plant-based. Yep. And that feels really good to me. And sugar is one of those things that is my hardest. It has been my hardest for a long, long time. And I really, when I went through this, I actually went several months without any sugar. I have had sugar since then, but it's few and far in between. And now I'll often choose honey over like a processed sugar. So,
and what is all of this that you do internally? What does that do for you on the outside? How does that show up for you in your work life, in your relationships? How does that actually affect you?
Yeah, I think, well, I just show up. I feel better, right? I feel better energetically. So when I talk about R factor, I feel that I resonate on a different level because I feel better. My body is happier when I am feeding it full of nutrition. And I think this is the big piece of it is like, how do you really just make the most nutrient rich meal that you can have? And it's not about, limiting what's on the plate. It's really about, it's just this, you've just created this plate full of delicious nutrition. And so that has worked really well for me. And my coach on this has just been, I adore her, and I continue to work with her, and it's just having somebody that's guide you through something like that is, I think, really important. And just yep, try good food. I think this was the other part. She really brought great recipes. My husband and I are foodies. I mean, my husband's a trained chef, right? And he was out of town when I first started this. Because he works for FEMA. And so he had been out of town and he came home on March 20th. And I'd been on it for a couple months at that point. And I said, so I'm going to keep this up. So I'm inviting you to join me, right? I'm inviting you to join me on this journey. He's having a total fun. Like, it's like we plan our meals together every week, and we're doing really good, as a couple, starting to make these choices. And it's good too, because like on days like where I just feel like, can we just, order whatever? He'll be like, no, let's just do this, or, vice versa. I mean, so I think that we're good accountability partners on it too.
I love that. And you and I were just chatting about this before we jumped on, but there's, for women who might be considering that, hey, there's something that I'm not feeling too great about internally, but I'm really afraid of making that shift. I just want to say, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, that it's really maybe a week of pain to, as you detox caffeine, like I just experienced, or as you detox sugar, or as you detox alcohol, or whatever it is that you want to try to remove for at least a period of time. It's maybe a week, but realistically like 3 days of grossness. So give yourself a 4-day weekend and start it then.
Yeah.
Because then you won't have those excuses. What would you say to that?
I totally agree with that. And it's amazing to me how quickly, like if you have a little piece of sugar, how quickly you want more. And so starting to just pay attention to what happened. I mean, I think that was a big learning of it, right? It's like when you're out, and I have done a lot of I've done like cleanses over the years, and none of them have ever stuck, right? And this one is stuck. And here's a couple reasons why I think that this one particularly helped. Because it was based in Ayurvedic principles. So in the wintertime, and when I started this, in the past when I've done cleanses, it was all like cold salads. And my body doesn't want cold salads in January. Nope. My body wants warm, delicious foods, right? And so this approach actually takes the seasons, the rhythms of our rhythms, right? What's our bodies want in different times of the year? And how do we tune into those rhythms? And it's fun because I play with rhythms all the time with my clients. It's like, okay, if you're launching in, what's your rhythm in those seasons? When do you want to launch? When do you want to go inside? And when do you want to be internal? I mean, look for the seasons in our lives. And so to be able to apply food this way was a big thing. And to me, so now we're into the spring, summer, and like I am totally ready for the salads and the colder food. And so really starting to pay attention to that. And yes, we let go of things that take us through that little pain period, but then also realizing how easy it is to go back to them if we don't pay attention, if we're not really being uber aware of it. Because, like something that's sugary sitting there on the counter, I'm like, ooh, I want some of that. Just don't buy it.
Don't have it in the house.
Exactly.
Totally. Perfect. Well, I just love how you dance with everything flowing together, and everything is connected. And so we can talk about business, we can talk about all of these amazing tips and things that we need to do, but if we're not taking care of ourselves from the inside out, like you said, we can't be our best leading selves. So to close us up, what is your offer that you would love for women to take you up on?
Well, I'll just extend a really simple thing. I'll invite people to my Extraordinary Women Connect group on Facebook. That is, I open that up because that is where I love to just play and create community. We create all kinds of fun things there. I ran a series there not too long ago called Own Your Genius, which was telling some of my clients' stories. Well, it was telling a lot of my masterminders how they've been showing up in these times is what it was doing. It was really about how they first took care of themselves and then, went out and then were making a difference with the gifts of who they are, owning their genius. So I invite people there just because it's a fun place to congregate. And if anybody wants to really raise your brand up and really get clear on what it is, if the whole world could hear one message from you, what would that be? Just reach out to me. I'd love to have that conversation with you and help you raise up your voice so that you can get out and do the work that you're meant to be doing, so that people can hear your voice and you can make the impact that you want to make.
Love it. Beautiful. Thank you, Kami. I'm so grateful to you and that you're in my life,
sweetie. I'm so grateful.
You're part of the Dames.
And you're rocking it, girl. You are just so rocking. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of it'll be fun to go, yep, we knew the Dames win. We knew Meghann win.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for you, and definitely join Extraordinary Women Connect on Facebook, ladies. And especially if you're that woman who's like, man, I just cannot articulate what it is that I'm here for or what it is that I want, but yet I know that there's something and I'm so close to it. Just call Kami. She'll help you figure it out. Seriously.
Thank you so much, dear.